Bham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Bhadram Karnebhihi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyema Akshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangaistushtyubhagum Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitan Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastarkshyo Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatirdadhatu Om Shanti 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So let's chant the two Mangala Charanam Vakyas composed by Adi Shankara. So let's chant both of them and then we will begin the understanding of the second one. First we have already completed. So first one that we did. Pragyana amshu pratanaihi sthiracharanikara vyapibhihi vyapya lokan bhuktva bhogan sthavishtan punarapi dhishnodbhasitan kamajanyan pītvā sarvān visheshan swapiti madurabhung mayaya bhojayannaha maya sankhya turiyam paramam amritam ajam brahma yat tatnato asmi. This is the first one. I don't think there is any swaras here, so I'm just I don't know what the best way to pronounce it, so I'm just keeping it at a flat one. I'm not sure about that. The second one. Yo Vishwatma Vidija Vishayan Prashya Bhogan Sthavishtan Paschat Anyan Swamati Vibhavan Jyotisha Svena Sukshman Sarvanetan Punarapi Shanaihi Swatmani Sthapayitva Hitva Sarvan Visheshan Vigata Gunaganaha Patu Asau Nasturiyaha. So one more time. Yo Vishwatma Vidija Vishayan Prashya Bhogan Sthavishtan Paschat Anyan Swamati Vibhavan Jyotisha Svena Sukshman Sarvan Etan Punarapi Shanaihi Swatmani Sthapayitva Hitva Sarvan Visheshan Vigata Gunaganaha Patu Asau Nasturiyaha. That's the second one. So let's start with the second one. So both the prayer verses, Mangala Charanam, are in the form of a brief introduction to the entire Karika Bhashya, entire Mandukya Karika, and the Bhashya that Adi Shankara has given. So as we have seen, the best form of a prayer, the best form of a praise, this is a prayer in the form of a praise, an introduction, is the one that summarizes the gunas of the entire Shastra, of the entire text, the entire vision. So we have seen this before, that if you were to introduce a and an amazing person who is in a meeting to talk, then one introduction could be, we're very happy that you're here. You are a great person. We look forward to hearing you. That's one introduction. Another introduction is to someone who is conversant with all the work that the person has accomplished and is going to talk about, and summarizes it in the form of preparing the people to be ready to understand. It's kind of like aiding the person. A very good, a very accomplished person who knows how to communicate will say the following: this is what I'm going to tell you. And then he tells you, and then he summarizes in the end, this is what I just told. So in this kind of a prayer, Adi Shankara actually is amazed at the accomplishment of this whole world, the entire creation, or the non-creation if you want to, an apparent creation by Ishvara. And he summarizes that in these two verses. This is what we have to understand. And we will see that today how that happens. So in introducing these two prayer verses, Sri Anandagiri, who is one of the most clear tikakaras about the Bhashya. So Anandagiri came much later than Adi Shankara, but what his excellence was to look at the Bhashya, and if there are some spots where the Bhashya was not able to go into details, it plugs it in and says this is the way you should look at it. So this is how the unfolding process takes place, as you know very well. So in doing so, Anandagiriji gives the two prayers in a manner that we should understand. Okay? What he says is, the first Vakya, the first Mangala Charanam, is called Vidhi Pradhana. Vidhi Pradhana. Vidhi Pradhana means it is the nature of the Srishti, the nature of how the Srishti is. And so this is something that we should always keep in mind, that you and I as jivas do the same Srishti as Ishvara does for the whole world. We are exact copies of Ishvara Srishti. And so our Srishti, how we do it and how we withdraw from it, should be really kept in mind. If we've already gone through this, that in Shastra, they say that the best way to understand Ishvara, God, Bhagavan, Paramatma, is to examine yourself fully. And so how we do Srishti, how we withdraw from it, should be kept in mind. And so the first prayer is Vidhi Pradhana. The second one is Nisheda Pradhana. And he says this, actually it's interesting. This is from the commentary by Tika by Anandagiri. So he points that out. So if you look at the third line of the first prayer, it says Pitva. And if you look at the fourth line of the second, it says Hitva. Pitva and Hitva. So this is the lingam on which they conclude that the first one is Vidhi Pradhana, and the second one is Nisheda Pradhana. Vidhi Pradhana means how the Srishti is made, and Nisheda Pradhana means how the Srishti is dismissed. This is what our life is. This is exactly this is the nature of our involvement in life. We first embrace it. This is called Vidhi Pradhana, and then we discard it. And the ultimate aim is to discard it. In the meantime, we embrace it for some fun, and we get into problems, and therefore we have to fulfill the destiny of what our karmas are and so on. But at the end, we discard it, and this is exactly what is being pointed out. And we do this every day. Every day. It's not as though this is done. You don't have to visualize that, oh, perhaps, am I like that? Maybe I'm not like that. No. Every day we wake up, in the waking state, we embrace it. We embrace the various issues, the various relationships, the karma phala and all that. And then in the night, we discard it. And the funny part is, this is what we've been saying, that the joy from discarding is much more than the joy of embracing it. This is how we do the Shrishti, and so we should understand it. And then there is a difference. Ishvara does the same thing, but there is a difference between Ishvara Shrishti and my Shrishti. Then we will cover that in a minute. But basically, this is exactly the process that happens. Okay. So here, Swami Akhandanandaji points out that please make an attention to this. In our Shastra, in the Vedanta Shastra, there are two prakriyas. Prakriyas means pranali. Pranali means the methodology of explanation. The structure of teaching is called prakriya. The method of teaching is called prakriya. So in the Vedanta Shastra, there are two prakriyas. One prakriya is that whatever you see is really Paramatma. This is also Paramatma. That is also Paramatma. I am also Paramatma. Everything that we see is nothing but Ishvara, 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 Ishvara. Paramatma. So this is one prakriya, one pranali. Okay? So this corresponds to the Vidhi Pradhana nature of Shrishti. We'll go into this in more detail, but I'm giving you the overall sense. Okay? So this is one prakriya of Vedanta Shastra. The second prakriya of Vedanta Shastra is naiti, 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 neti, 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 which means that whatever you see, whatever you experience is just an appearance, has no reality. What you and I are interested in is reality, and it's not here. So this is what it is scale: adrishtam, alakshanam, achintyam, abhyapadeshyam, ashabdam, asparsham, etc., etc. So this is another prakriya. First prakriya is everything is the Paramatma. And the second prakriya is that nothing is, and in fact whatever is left after you leave everything else is Paramatma. So it looks like it is exactly opposite to each other. It is not. It's not an antithesis of each other. In fact, there are two ways of approaching the goal. The goal is moksha, complete cessation of any kind of dukkha. That's what our goal is. Ananda Swarupa. That's our goal. That goal can be approached in one of two ways. Either Vidhi Pradhana or Nisheda Pradhana. And so Anandagiriji says, look, if you examine the two prayers, you find that the first one takes the form of embracing everything, and the second one is rejecting everything. So this we will go into more detail. Okay. And it's interesting. One of the things that Swami Akhandananda points out is, and this gets displayed in various ways, various matas, various schools of thoughts, various approaches that people take. And those could be karma pradhana, could be dharma pradhana, could be viveka pradhana, could be bhakti pradhana, could be upasana pradhana, could be yoga pradhana, could be jnana pradhana. Pradhana means where the emphasis is. So there's various ways to look at it. So this is why we don't really reject all the Mahatmas, even though they are their final way is the final way may not be as effective as the Vedanta, but they all are approaching the same thing. But these are all various ways of achieving moksha. And so here Swami Akhandananda says that whichever method you adopt, do a complete job of it. Complete job of it. Complete the whole process. As an example, for example, the Sankhya Mata. Sankhya Mata is that Purusha and Prakriti are separate from each other. Purusha is one, you are the Purusha, and Prakriti is something that creates some confusion in your mind through the Srishti. So now if you stay with this separation, then you have a sense of, still have an impending sense of duality, which does not really satisfy you completely. So therefore, to do a complete job means either you give up everything or you take on everything. Both of them has to be carefully measured in terms of your objective. Anyway, I'm going into too much detail. We'll go to that later on. Let us begin the analysis of the second Vakya. It may take another class. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So, it starts with Yo Vishwatma. So the way I think I'm going to approach this second Vakya is, instead of giving you a complete sentence, translation of Yo Vishwatma Vidija Vishayan Prashya Bhogan Stavishtan, I'm just going to give you the translation of certain concepts of the various words, and then in the end we will put it all together. So I'm not going to start giving you the translation of the whole thing. It will be much more meaningful, in my opinion, if we just take single concepts that are embedded in this prayer and go over that first. Let's clear about it. The connection will come later on. The sentence meaning will come. So this is kind of like a sub-sentence, neither a word nor a complete sentence, but a sub-sentence for a sub-sentence. So the first concept is Yaha Vishwatma. It happens to be a very key part of the whole thing. Yaha Vishwatma. So let's look into that. Those are two words. Yo Vishwatma. It starts with that. So Yaha means the one, is referring to that thing. It's called Yaha. So which thing and that thing. So Yat, Tat. So here Yat means Yaha. Yaha means the one that we are going to discuss, that one. What does the Ya refer to? Here we say Yaha. What did we say Yaha? This is, you'll see, this is a very important thing in the explanation of the whole Shastra. So now we can say, like, point the fingers at various things, like this earth, this table, this world. Like that we can say this, this, this. So now the question is, let us examine what is the independent guna of the Yaha. So for example, let's look at, and this is an example I'm taking straight from Swami Akhandananda's commentary. Really all I'm doing, quite honestly, is just translating his thoughts. I'm not making up my own. I may bring in some minor things to complete, but I'm just following his. In fact, I tell you, if I was younger, I would have liked to translate this into English. There's so much material, so much contribution. I really encourage one of you, if you have the desire to do something and you're Hindi speaking, if you just translate that into English, it'll be just wonderful. And if I'm getting older, I don't have that much time left in my life. I cannot do it. But all I'm doing is translating that verbally to you, as it can be a little bit more quick. So this is what I'm doing. So here, Swami Akhandananda says, let us start with Yaha. So we have to examine the independent guna that this Yaha has. What is the nature of it? So Yaha means, that when you say this table, so the table has a unique guna. You know what the guna of a table is? The table has to have 3 minimum legs. And it has to have a horizontal surface which is above the ground. That's it. That's what a table is. It can be made out of metal, it could be made out of wood. Those are separately. But the key guna of the table is that it must be stable, it must be high up, and it must be flat. Similarly, when you say Prithvi, the earth, Prithvi has a guna. It has lots of other things also, but the important gunas is that it imparts a sense of flavor, of some kind of a smell. So the smell of things comes from Prithvi. So out of the Pancha Mahabhutas, everything has a unique quality, but the Prithvi, the uniqueness is that it has a certain smell to it. Good or bad, it's actually very good, but in certain circumstances it can also be bad. So this guna refers to Yaha, this Prithvi. Now we have to examine this guna of the Prithvi, which is a sense of smell. Is it independent or is it dependent? This is what we have to examine. Is it Swatasiddha or is it Parasiddha? Swatasiddha means if a thing is real, then it will impart something to you without any help. It shines by itself. That's the reality of something. This is what we have to examine. That's the filter we have to use when we examine everything in my life. If something is dependent, that means that it is not as real as I would like it to be, because it depends on something else, just like an ornament. Depends on the gold. It is not independent. So the Prithvi, the guna of the Prithvi, which is a sense of smell, depends on what? It depends on your nose. If your nose is plugged in, then the Prithvi cannot impart that to you. It's very dependent on the nose. And the nose, the sense of smelling, which is there in our ability to smell in the nose, has to be backed up by mind. And that has to be backed up by the drashta, by the seer. So very clearly, it is not completely independent. It is not swatasiddha. It is parasiddha. As opposed to that, if we examine yaha, the various yahas, this, that, the other, Prithvi, Vayu, tables, chairs, etc., etc. If you look at the conscious entity, Jnanam, it's very different. Totally different. How is it totally different? It is swatasiddha. It is self-existing. This is something, if you want to sometimes meditate and really understand the true significance of this. We are just saying, the Atma is swatasiddha. So you write it down, Atma is swatasiddha, Prithvi is parasiddha. Okay, let's go to the next one. It's not like that. Think of 1 hour when we are prepared, when we say, my goodness, I am swatasiddha. I am independent. The true impact of this understanding is moksha. That I am Sat Swarupaha. I don't need anything. And my sense of needing something is with respect to my taking myself to be a body-mind complex. But if I just look at the Paramatma, which is my nature, swatasiddha. We will do this later some more. I'll come back to this analysis in a minute, but let's just look at it. So here Swami Akhandananda says that like you're looking at Prithvi, any kind of function in your life, like bhakti, your prayerfulness to Ishvara, going to temple, all of those, you are resorting to parasiddhatvam. You are resorting to some kind of dependence. So for example, in the case of bhakti also, you are dependent on your what is called bhavya akriti. This is a technical word. Bhavya akriti means a form of your mind which needs to be inculcated. You need to adopt it. So, for example, this is the whole reason. I'm talking about upasana and bhakti, going to temples, going to Char Dham, going to all these places and so on. Just going there is not important because they don't really reveal their significance to you. What is important is that your mind must be attuned to it. You must think about, my God, what a beautiful sight this is. And then your mind must be tuned to it. So this is what we call bhavya akriti. So that also is dependent. These are just examples of the fact that this is also a pranali where you are depending on your own thoughts in order to objectify something. But the chit dhatu means your own self, the jnanam, the conscious vastu is not a bhavya akriti. It is not something that you have to, it shines by itself. You are the one that shines by itself, swatasiddha. So here one can even ask this question, but isn't my existence depends upon my understanding of my mind, just like any other bhavya akriti? Isn't this also a bhavya akriti? This we will answer later on. No. This is swatasiddha, and we'll come to that in a little bit later on. Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to mention the key concept behind Yaha Vishwatma. And I cannot overstate how important this concept is. And this concept will be expanded and talked about and emphasized throughout our course. This is the key thing. And there was a time where I had not really grasped it myself. But there was a time where I'm beginning to become familiar with the importance of that for myself. I'm just talking about to myself. And it's really has had a profound effect on my thinking. And all because of the summarization here of pointing out the teaching is all about how you think, not what you think, but how you think. Both of them, of course. Anyway, I'm just talking about it. This is a very important concept, and this is the central theme of Mandukya Upanishad, Omkara. How the Omkara is, which we will go through in great detail. This Om, how do we appreciate it so that I become free? That's the whole thing about Mandukya, and that's the whole thing about Karika. And summarizing that is really given here in Yaha Vishwatma. This is how important it is. So I urge you to at least pay attention to this part of it. And of course, this is just an introduction. We will go into this in more detail, much more detail in the book. So what it means is this, okay? So it's summarizing the importance of this. So we have a choice of what we identify with. This is the identification which in Sanskritam is called abhimana. Abhimana means what I identify with. This is the central way to approach the whole thing. The question is, what do I identify with? So now we should go forward and look at what happens in our dream state. This is why the dream state is extremely important. In fact, later on, the Mandukya will say, as you know, Om has three syllables. A, U, Ma. A, U, Ma. A refers to, as we will see later on, Ers refers to the waking state. U refers to the dream state, and refers to the sleep state. And in describing that, the U, which is the dream state, is what is called Utkrishta. Utkrishta means, this we will cover in more detail later, but Utkrishta means superior. This is a very strange thing which I had not quite understood it for quite a while. Why is the dream state how is the dream state Utkrishta? We don't look at the dream state as Utkrishta. We think this is what whole life is all about, and we kind of dream. Last night we were having dinner with some friends, and same topic came up, and I was trying in my best way to sort of describe a little bit of that, but no one, I could tell there wasn't none of the people were having persuaded with that. Oh, they say, the dream is just, Shastra says, no, the dream is, in fact, if something is even more important. Can you believe this? The Srishti of the dream is even more important than the Jagrata Avastha. Why? We will see that later. But what it means is that it proves the mithyatvam of the Jagrata Avastha. You cannot understand the non-reality of your waking state until you start thinking about the nature of the dream. This is the biggest hint that Ishvara has given to us. And the hint is pervasive. It's all our life. If the dream was only once in your lifetime, sometimes when you are 16 or 17, you had a dream, and after that you never have a dream, then we can understand it's not that important. Ishvara wants you to have a dream every day so that you can learn from it. So this is the thing about the Yaha Vishwatma. So the concept here is, in the dream state, who do you identify with? Do you have a choice? I mean, not a choice, but you have two possibilities. That's a better way to look at it. Two possibilities. One is that you identify with the Purusha. Purusha means when you're dreaming, you acquire a certain status of a person who's a dreamer. No, a person like you're the dream person. You're a dream person. You are thinking, okay, now I'm going to do this. Now, why is that person bothering me? Wow, that's happening. How come I'm all those kinds of things with me? So this Purusha, dream Purusha, that's there in the dream. So now the question is, in the dream, are you identifying with the dream Purusha, or you are identifying with the entire dream? So while you are dreaming, so just listen to this and test it out. This is not just make believe, this is a fact that you have to recognize by thinking. When you are dreaming, you are identifying with the Purusha. Purusha means not a man, but a human, a beingness. You can't, it's a human beingness even in the dream. One cannot dream that I am an animal in the dream. That cannot happen. It's always through the vasanas. You are, if you are a woman, you will most likely, I would say in almost all cases, think about yourself as a woman, as a dreamer. If you're a man, then a man as a dreamer. But in any case, while you're in the dream, your abhimana is with the Purusha. Why? Because you're dealing with other things in the dream that are different from you. So the bheda is there, all the differences are there. But your abhimana is with the Purusha. Now, when you come out of the dream, isn't it true that your abhimana is for the entire dream, not just for the Purusha? It is what is called sthana vishesha. Sthana means a place. So the dream is a place. It's kind of like a holding place. Your abhimana, you realize, is wrongly attributed to your being a Purusha. It is in fact the entire dream. This is very important. And this is a fact. It's not as though you are making it up. It is a fact that you did not recognize while you were in the dream. And it only becomes obvious to you once the dream is over. Okay, this is the fact. Now we need to learn that lesson for my Jagrata Avastha. This is the reason why the dream state is Utkrishta. The Shastra says it. It is in the Mandukya Upanishad. It is not some commentator that is not Purushajanya. This is Apaurusheya. Ishvara himself says that the dream is superior. Why is it superior? Because, first of all, it is in the form of Karana Rupa, not Karya Rupa. Anyway, let's not go into that. But it is superior because the lessons that I should learn is given to me both while I am dreaming as well as coming out of the dream. And the lesson I need to know is that while I am dreaming, my abhimana is to a Purusha, but the fact of the matter is that's erroneous because the entire dream was my imagination. So my abhimana is with the entire dream in reality, not just with the Purusha. Now all this is encapsulated in the word Yaha Vishwatma. So as you know that the name of a waker is Vishwa. The name of a waking person, which is common to all of us. We may have individual name, my name is Vijay, your name may be John or something else. Those are Those are names given by our parents, and sometimes we change them. Those are different. But the common name for every one of us as a jiva is Vishwa. We'll go into the details of why that is. Common name for the dreamer is Taijasa. And the common name of a sleeper is Pragya. Vishwa, Taijasa, and Pragya. I'm just giving you on the side. This we will go in more detail later. So now the word Vishwa, let's go back to the word Vishwa. Vishwa means the waking person. I hope you're also awake, you're not sleeping. I am also awake. So we are both Vishwa at this time. Okay? You have a different name, I have a different name, but the common name is Vishwa. So now, Yah Vishwatma. Who is the Vishwa? Vishwa is the person that is cognizing the entire world at this time. I mean, just look at it from my standpoint. I am sitting here in this room. I can see the room. I can see my doors are closed so that others don't disturb me. It's unclosed, and I have a TV on one side if I wanted to watch some sport or something like that. I hardly ever use it, but it's there. I have a table, I have some chairs, and so on and so forth. And so this is what my world is. And I also know beyond that there is another world. If I can walk out, so the entire world is, I'm cognizing at this point. And you are doing exactly the same thing. You're cognizing this world. So you are cognizing the entire state of waking experience. Okay? So now the question is, who do you identify with? At the start, we all identify with the person that I am that I can visualize. My body, my thoughts, my impressions, my aspirations, my sukha dukkha. This is what I am identifying with me. No, this is what I am identifying with. I am a Purusha Abhimani. I am an identifier with the Purusha. And I'm in the middle of this experience, like I did when I was dreaming. I was in the middle of the dream. I'm only identifying with the Purusha. And this is a mistake. This is a horrible mistake. This is not an ordinary mistake. This is an extremely damaging mistake. It has never been pointed out to me until now. I mean, now means until we start studying. It's a total Brahma. Then what do you mean, what's the mistake? What we have to see is that I am conscious of the whole creation at this point. If you are sitting next to me, I don't see you because I'm on an online. I will see you sitting. Other people sitting. I see, if I just walk out, there is a sun and the moon, or sun at this point, not moon, and the sky, and all these other things. People moving around, cars. This is what I'm cognizing, entire cognization. So I am aware of the entire Srishti. Just look at I am aware of, I am the cognizer. And the entire world depends on me to cognize, for me. Just look at your own life. It is totally dependent on you. You are the one you can even close your eyes and just ignore it for a minute. But the entire world is your experience. This is called Vishwa. But then the question is, my sense of abhimana, where is it? It is with the Purusha, the person that I am. I mean, I'm using the word person in contextual. That's my personality, really. That's not the real person. The real person is the Atma. But leave aside that part of it. It's just the context. I am identifying with myself as a person. I'm not identifying with the whole world. Identification means abhimana. And this is a huge mistake. And so really the central theme of Mandukya, central theme of the whole set of classes is understanding the nature of this mistake and the implications of correcting this mistake. Enormous. Your life will change. And it won't change just like that. You're not going to walk out and say, done. No. It is such a huge mistake that your mind will continue fighting it. Oh, I don't know. It kind of looks good, but I don't know. These are the things will happen. This is what our life is all about. This is what Maranam and Nididhyasanam and so on. You can call it anyway. But this is the central thing. That if you can learn, and it not learning, you will understand this. My own life is just a process of doing that. I'm not done yet. I'm still struggling. But the path is very clear. The instructions are very, very clear to me. That what we have to do is to identify with the whole world. How we do it, this is going to be the fun part. But every step has some. If we are serious about doing this, then every step has such lessons to teach, such pleasures, It just happened recently. I can just share you with some personal view of that. So, sometimes you get upset when your mind was set on something and you expected that thing will happen and it doesn't happen. If you have a kind of like a, I don't care, whatever happens, happens, then you're not upset. But supposing you are doing something, you are acquiring something which you really put your mind to it and says, oh, that'll be nice, that would be terrific, this is what I do. And some kind of a obstruction happens, then there is a reaction of the mind, for sure. No doubt about it. So that happened to me. That happens to, it's not as though just once in a while, that happens to everybody. So recently, there's something like, I won't give you into the details of it, but something like this happened to me. And I must say that in the way before thinking about it and so on, when you get upset about something, it is also accompanied by a sense of self-justification, that I have a right to be upset because this was not something that should not have happened. I mean, this is not something that should have happened. And so you have a justification that strengthens your being upset and so on. But this time, something interesting happened to me. I paused. As soon as that happened to me and I had a start of being upset, I paused and said, is this what I'm learning? Is this what I'm doing? Does it make sense for me to be upset? Let me think about it. And I brought in, so that itself quieted my mind down. It says, don't be upset, just think about it. And then the next few minutes and hours were where I internalized that the thing that made me upset had some justification. They had their own ideas of what to do and so on and so forth. Didn't jive with me, but they have their own ideas. And if if there was someone was not behaving with me, they have a reason for doing that because of their personality, their so on and so forth. So what that did for me was to look at, it's just a mini example of this Vishwatma, but what made me to do was to see the viewpoints of the whole world, not just mine. And do you know something? Within a couple of hours, what joy that gave me. The same thing that was going to upset me became a joyful thing because I could tell I'm able to see this now. Why? Because if I have an abhimana just to myself, then my being upset was justified. But if I look at it, a broader part of it, and it worked. It worked. I had a smile on my face. Internally. No problem. Later on I said, why did I even think about being upset at something like this? Small lesson. But, by the same token, if you know that this works, then it encourages you to do more of it. It is the right thing. It can be done. I'm capable of doing that. So this is what Swamiji has talked about, Swami Akhandananda ji, that this is what we need to do. What we need to do is and this is just a start, but so this is the goal that we should have in our life. And it's not going to happen overnight. It all depends on, it doesn't mean that it will take a long time. It all depends on you and I individually. How convinced we are, how determined we are, how ambitious we are. And I must say this is something that always has really inspired me. And from the very beginning when I started listening to the Swamis, is that I didn't want to be a student forever. Because I didn't know the Mahatmas like Swami Akhandananda that, but my closest role model was Swami Dayananda. And my goal was to be like him, not be his student forever. That just came to me all by myself. So what I'm saying is I was very ambitious. And I'm still not there at that point, but my ambitions have not diminished. Whether I am becoming a Mahatma in this life or next life, it doesn't matter to me. But that is where I want to be. So how determined, how ambitious you are will determine how long this will take. But it will happen. That has to happen, it will happen. Either by hook or crook, you have to become a Vishwatma. There is no other way. You cannot become free from problems until your abhimana, your sense of identification is much broader than what it is today, which is also Purusha Abhimana. These are just words we have been listening. It's the same thing. There's nothing new, but just some words to describe this whole phenomenon. So this is why, I really admire Swami Akhandananda's just focusing on this one concept, Yaha Vishwatma, and just clarifying it for me. And then later on, when we study the Mandukya and how we understand Omkara going to be helping us and so on, this will be expanded. Same concept. But it's already given in a summarized form by Adi Shankara and explained by the Mahatmas on these words. So anyway, we'll start with that. 9:34. Let me see. Yeah, I think I'll continue on for the next 10 minutes and go on further. So we've already done Yaha Vishwatma. Then the next one is Vidhicha Vishayan. Bhogan Sthavishtan Prashya. Vidhicha Vishayan. So let's go to the next concept now. I think it will take a while, but I think I'll finish it. So here the word Vidhija means the one Vidhina Janyan, the one that are born from Vidhi. So what is Vidhi? So Vidhi means dharma. Dharma and karma. Dharma and karma, both slight differences, but pretty much the same thing. So that means the dharma. So here, several things to talk about. I'm just translating his languages. So the sense of papa and punya, that these things have happened to me, and you know, when we have tragedies and comedies that occur in our life, people get hurt, sometimes you can lose your life, as you know, very common. Papa and Punya. So this Papa and Punya, including a sense of regrets and feeling dukhi. You see, this is an important thing. The feeling of dukhi means that bad things are happening to me. I am an unfortunate person. This is the Papa. And the opposite of that is that I am a very fortunate person. Things are all working very well for me. Same thing, there are two sides of the same coin. Both have to be analyzed. So Papa and Punya means that bad things are happening to me, and Punya means very good things are happening to me. I just won a lottery, and so on. Why everything is going on so well, I'm so happy. This is Punya. So this sense of Papa and Punya is very individualistic. It is Purushajanya. It is not in the Vishwatma. There is no such thing as a Papa and Punya in the entire Srishti. This is only my interpretation from a narrow viewpoint that I have Papa and Punya. Okay? So there are various examples. I'm trying to not go through the entire one. One example Swamiji gave was that, let's take gold, silver, and jewelry and precious things that are very valuable. Okay? Now, what happens is that when you buy a gold coin, let's say, the gold that was manufactured as a coin was very generic. There are some people that worked for it, they got good wages for it. There are some people who extracted it from the rocks, some people purified it, people made out of it. So this is all generic. But when it comes to you, it becomes my gold. I'm rich. I am gold. Recently I saw this report from someone. I think it's in the last, I look at the news on Google News and so on. So Costco, the guy who heads up Costco, revealed that one of our biggest sellers is a gold coin. Gold is like $1,800 per ounce or something like that, I think. So the gold coins became a very big seller. So much so they had to limit it to two of them, 2 gold coins per person. And so when you buy that, you become, oh my gosh, I have a gold coin. So the fact is that the gold, which is generic, is not yours, but you're taking it in your possession and putting it in your safe deposit box. That requires an abhimana to the gold. So the gold by itself is not, it's a dharma, it's a vidhi. But resulting from that is the sense that I am the owner of this gold. And so what happens is sometimes, like for example, this happens in stock market all the time. that you bought a stock thinking that it'll go up, but it didn't, and you sold it. Now the same stock, or the same thing can be done for the gold coin, has just passed hand from one to the other. But you were so focused in on my ownership that you have a sense of gain and loss. So all it is saying is the following. He says that a sense of me and mine, which is a Purusha Abhimana, is tantamount to Papa and Punya and Sukha and Dukkha. In fact, really, even people being born is just nothing but the essence of the earth and water and so on, becoming a seed in the form of the mother and father, and from the uterus, then some form is, as an embryo, the form is born, and then you take birth, and then you now have a sense of abhimana to the Purusha. The fact of the matter is, while you are still alive and talking, you are still consisting of earth alone. Water and Vayu is just a combination. It's just a different form of the Prithvi, etc. And it'll go back to it. But in the meantime, because it is moving and you can think and you can blink your eyes and so on, you feel this is me. This is me. So Vidija Vishayan can be taken both ways. This is what he is saying. I will continue this. I'm running out of time. So this concept I will go into a little bit more detail next time. But the sense of that is, yeah, this is something interesting. Let me make I think this will be fun to start with in the next class. So, karmajanyan, samashti prarabdha, vyashti prarabdha. So there are some aspects to this that I think we need to understand. So I will postpone that until the next class. I don't have a pencil in front of me, but I'll make a point that this is where we start with. And we will continue. Okay, so with that, let me close this class and then we will go on. By the way, I was thinking whether we should have a class next Saturday, because next Saturday we have a major event for Aim for Seva, as you know, in the Bay Area. You may not know, but anyway, we have a major event, but that's in the evening. But thinking about it, I think I'm going to continue with the class. So some of you who are going to be very active in becoming volunteers for that day may not be able to attend the class, but I think that the number of people who are not so are many, and you can always go back and listen to the class later. So I don't want to miss anything. So I will continue to have the class for next Saturday also. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Satish, I made a mistake of titling the last class as number 4, where it should be number 3. Today is number 4. I'll correct that mistake. That was my mistake. So good to see you all. Wonderful. Akhil, my apologies. I still have not looked at your very comprehensive translation of the first prayer. I still look forward to it. I'm sorry I haven't had the time, but I will do that. So I appreciate that. All right. I don't see any questions per se. So with that, I take your leave and will hopefully see you next week. Hari Om.